Good evening and welcome to MSNBC's State of the Union coverage. I'm Alicia Menendez here with Simone Sanders Townsend and Michael Steele in Washington, D.C. Tonight, President Joe Biden gave a rousing speech just a few feet from where we are now, noting the country is at an inflection point with democracy under threat at home and abroad. Here's how he opened his speech, invoking FDR in 1941, telling Congress that Hitler was on the march.
President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time.
And that was just the beginning. President Biden drew a sharp contrast with Donald Trump on everything from democracy to tax cuts to reproductive rights.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
The president also joked several times about his age, to applause and to laughter, and he ended his speech laying out his vision for the future.
I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans.
Simone, was this a speech you were expecting?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I was expecting the president to go out there and make his case. People have to remember, take a step back, this is going to be the largest stage that he is going to have between now and when folks start voting.
Convention.
This is, and I mean, the convention will be a large stage, but not as large as this one. You know, there are sports, people watch sports a lot. They'll watch the footballs, the basketballs, the Oscars will get a lot of views. And then it is the State of the Union.
Right.
And so this is a nonpartisan arena, if you will, where the President of the United States comes to speak directly to the American people, people that that maybe would not see him unfettered at the podium, not cut up into clips, not seeing him in viral, potentially manipulated ways on different social media sites or through the lens of and someone pontificating about his interview.
Sure.
And so I thought that, you know, he came and he got the job done. I thought it was this. I've seen a lot of State of the Union addresses. It had everything. It had inspiration. It had hope. It had a direct, you know, proverbial mollywopping, if you will, to the Supreme Court justices with using the words of a former justice while they're sitting on the front row. I mean, that is.
And the camera
operator needs an Emmy. Somebody get that camera operator an Emmy. From the time the president came down the aisle shaking hands, what you saw tonight was President Joe Biden at his best. He likes being around people. He's a good retail politician, and he understood the stage he was on. He was comfortable. He was inviting the heckle, and to the point, like he was like, "What you say?" At some points, it's basically, "Oh, so you don't like that?" And sometimes the crowd took the bait. The Republican members of Congress took the bait. Sometimes they didn't. The image of the Vice President of the United States of America, Vice President Kamala Harris, standing up, clapping, it's like she was getting her exercise on. There's a lot to clap about. But Speaker Mike Johnson, not emoting much. I mean, there were some things that in previous years everyone would stand and clap on. Everybody can stand and clap for, you know, education for children.
Well, you should be able to stand and clap about democracy. Like that should not be a partisan issue.
That's a thing you should be able to do. I came away from this gobsmacked. That's your mollywop. I got gobsmacked. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you why. Because out of the gate, I don't know if y'all noticed that the president was not formally introduced to the Congress. The president ascended the podium and began his speech. And the speaker didn't get a chance to say, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the United States, for another round of applause. And it told me in that moment, the president intended to own that room. Mm-hmm. That his goal tonight was to make it very clear, oh, y'all think I'm old? I got something for you. You think I'm slow? I got something for you. You don't like my policies? Well, I'm going to talk about the ones you voted for, right? And so I thought he really contextualized in a real way the conversation that has been long overdue between Joe Biden and the American people. Not Joe Biden and Republicans in Congress, not Joe Biden and the progressives in his party, but Joe Biden and the American people. And I think in the main, folks watching this got a wry little smile on their face and go, Uncle Joe, okay, I hear you, I see you. And that was a good, solid moment for him. And there were a lot of different vignettes and scenes, which we will get into because they were legion. But the reality of it is he owned the moment from the moment he walked into the room. And again, he was the last to leave. And he's the first president to do that, where he stays around. And if you watch him afterwards, he's Senator Biden on the floor with those members.
Right
they had to pull him off.
They had to pull him off. So this guy, I mean, folks, you keep underestimating Joe Biden. And in every turn, he finds a way to remind you of why he's been successful in American politics and why, regardless of the gaffes and the flaws and the missteps and the misspoken word occasionally, people still gravitate towards him. And I think it's going to sell him or sets him up well, Alicia, to start the conversation.
Can I just say that moment? This is what the president said when the camera panned to the Supreme Court justices. He said, in its decision to overturn Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court majority wrote, women are not without electoral or political power. And he goes, no kidding. Clearly, those bragging about overturning Roe versus Wade have no clue about the power of women in America. And then he goes on to talk about reproductive freedom.
But the unscripted part was, to that same moment, was when he looked at the justices and said, with all due respect, because that wasn't in the script.
Yeah, with all due respect,
he made it a personal moment connection with them. And that's the part of Joe, I think, Simone, I've heard you say it, I've said it, a lot of us have been saying in the absolute political space, let the man go out and be the man and connect with the people. And when he does, it's a good day for the country, and it's a good day for his efforts to convince and win them over.
Yeah, this speech had a lot of policy in it, and I think as much I said before, it was going to be about performance and delivery, and he definitely performed, he definitely delivered, and the policy was substantive, and I think we're going to see hopefully the implication of that policy, folks going out there talking about it, cabinet officials, the president, the vice president, over the next couple of days.